Hello everyone, it is me Sasha Kawaii Cat, and in today's video I'll be testing Ibis Paint X's new free reference materials. Before we begin, if you like my art and want to support this channel, you can always join my Ko-fi membership to gain access to special rewards like early access to speed paint videos, all my custom Ibis Paint brushes, free line art and full resolution drawings, and much more. You can even get your name featured in the end credits of my video, along with a cute icon or chibi drawing. Please check it out, the link is in the description below. Now, Ibis Paint X has a ton of materials. I don't know if people really make use of these. I have a few that I definitely use often for my background specifically, but recently they added some tracing sketches. These are primarily there presumably for artists to use to do some practicing and how to draw poses. If drawing poses for your characters isn't something you're particularly good at, or you can use them to practice how to draw in general. There are currently 30 of these available, and as you can see, not all of them can be fully accessed. For some of these, they straight up tell you have to join their Prime membership in order to unlock them, which I'm not going to do. Come on, Ibis Paint, I already paid for this app, and I also paid for Procreate. I can't afford the Prime membership, especially not for a few poses. Though I will admit some of the ones that they do have behind the membership looks good. I like the sit-in one, for instance. But whatever, for this video, I decided that the ones that were available were good enough. So for the video, I decided to test two of these reference artworks, one female and one male body type. I went through and I tried to find some that I thought would look interesting and were a little different than what I usually do in terms of poses. For this first one, the first thing I'll say is that I don't think I ever realized just how thin anime girls tend to be. These references are so skinny, which honestly is fine. I don't think it's a bad thing for me to try drawing a different body type since clearly I don't go this thin with my female characters. I guess my go-to body is probably curvy, but I was sort of thrown off by that. But I guess that still ties into my first complaint with these references, which are the lack of variety with the body types that are available here. Everyone is basically the same body type, thin as a rail, which is honestly kind of disappointing. I know that they're going for the typical anime body type, but honestly, anime itself could probably have some more variety when it comes to female body types as well. They're either incredibly thin or still relatively thin, but with like giant tits. I feel like there are some anime that have a bit of variety when it comes to male body types at least, but that's nothing new when it comes to male versus female body types in any type of media really. Now, the poses themselves I really like. I think it's maybe best to use them as a reference for the pose, but then drawing different body types when you trace over it, or try to make it fit your art style, because that's something I tried to do with this first drawing. You can see that in some areas I straight up just changed some things. Her ears, for instance, were changed because I just don't like where her ears were placed or even how they drew her ears, to be honest. So I made sure to change it so it more accurately fit my art style. I also changed the pose a bit by adding a visible arm holding a cup because I felt like the other arm needed to be visible. Admittedly, I don't know if I did a very good job drawing that arm, but I felt like it needed to be added. For the drawing itself, I wanted to go with this aesthetically pleasing floral type girl. I really had fun drawing her hair and the flowers on her dress, which is ironic since I've mentioned numerous times that I'm not the best at drawing flowers, but I always love how they look. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the color scheme I wanted to go with. The coloring was probably the hardest part of this drawing, but I'm happy with the colors I eventually settled on. The design for this character I think worked well with this pose. I knew I wanted her to have a backpack, so I chose this pose specifically so elements like that would be visible. And I think it works. Overall, I really like this pose. I think it worked pretty well as a reference. For the character's outfit, there's some elements that I don't know if it looks very well, or rather I don't know if it translates very well, like the water in her skirt, for instance. That's something that I noticed that some artists tend to do when they draw, like it's an aesthetic thing, I believe, but I think the place where I added it, I'm not sure if it works, but I do like how it looks, if that makes sense. Like, while I don't know if visually it makes sense to look at, I do think it looks very pretty. The outfit itself, if you look at it closely, is pretty simple. I mean, it's just a plain white top and a skirt, but I think adding the flowers really made the drawing pop and sort of added an element that makes the entire drawing look aesthetically pleasing, if that makes sense. I think overall there are design elements on this drawing that makes it stand out and look pretty good. If you notice, I decided not to go full body with these poses, mostly because I just didn't like how the feet looked, and I really thought they would work best for just the waist up drawing, and I think I was right. Anyway, that is the first drawing. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. For the second drawing, I used the male pose reference. The male body types on this have the same issue as the female body types with the lack of variety. It's the same poses for the guys, but if I'm being honest with myself, this pretty much fits how I usually draw male characters' body types anyway, so it didn't really matter much. My goal when it comes to male characters is to be able to draw the beefiest of boys, but I'm not there yet. The struggle just to get the abs right. Drawing male characters is a pain, but as an artist, I must and I will continue to practice, and eventually I think I'll get there. Let's talk about the actual poses that are available. If you get rid of the ones that you have to pay for, there's not that many left. And out of the ones that we are left with, a lot of them are incredibly boring. A few of these I really liked, but in terms of finding ones that looked visually interesting, I had a hard time finding ones I actually liked. I do feel like some of these more rigid poses might be pretty good for making a character sheet. That was initially going to be my artwork for this video, but honestly, it seemed like it might be too much work. But there's definitely a few poses that would make all the character turns for a reference sheet, so if you all want to try that out, you can. I think aside from maybe adding some more body types, it would be nice if they added a few more interesting poses, but I guess they're probably going to keep the interesting ones behind a paywall. For this guy, I also wanted to have his back visible because I wanted to give him a cute little backpack as well, which is why I chose this particular pose. Again, I had to add a visible hand that wasn't on the reference. I do not think I did a very good job of drawing that, but I wanted him to be holding an umbrella, so it had to be added. I'll say that visually, I don't know if this drawing reads very well. His hair, for instance, I had some trouble drawing because I had no idea what I wanted to do with it. But I decided to go with a ponytail, but it's partially hidden behind the umbrella. But you know what? Looking back at it, I think it looks okay. I added a lot of sparkles because I'm really into drawing galaxy hair at the moment. I think overall, despite the hairstyle maybe not being the best, I do like the coloring on the hair at least. The outfit I really struggled a bit with as well because some elements I didn't draw in, like the diamonds, and so I really had to trust that once I got to that part, they would look good, and I do think that they work. Coloring was another thing that really had me struggling because I've never drawn a pose like this. I spent so long trying to figure out how the shadows worked on this drawing, which I did get for the most part, but it was sort of weird to draw for me just because a lot of this is just one flat color. And I'm not used to drawing my shadows like that, but I think it worked for the drawing in the end. The colors themselves are pretty straightforward. I really tried to have a limited palette. I didn't want to use too many colors. There's a bit of pink on there that I don't think pops enough to warrant being on this drawing. I could have just made those little planets the same shade of gold as the stars, and I think it would have worked just fine. For the actual finished artwork, I think it turned out okay. You know what, I'll go even far as saying that I like this one. There are definitely elements that I dislike, but overall, the drawing I think works. For the references, I think the ones that are available are pretty okay. They're called tracing materials, but honestly, if they don't fit your particular art style, maybe just add them as a reference on a separate layer and just try to draw a few of the poses that are available. Personally, I'm not that great at coming up with poses myself, but I do have a few go-to poses that I can draw from memory or just flip through my art book. Also, you can always just go on Pinterest. I'll say that it was interesting tracing over these because tracing is just so frowned upon, which understandably is because people tend to trace things they have no permission to trace in the first place, and then they post it like it isn't traced, like they think people won't notice. And of course the internet proceeds to shame them into oblivion. But rest assured, these are specifically available for you to trace. Like I said before, they seem like they're there for practice more than anything else. I will say I do like some of these poses, so I do feel like I'm going to try practicing a few of these so I can draw them from memory. But anyway, what do you think of these artwork? Please let me know which one is your favorite, or if you have any name suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Also, what do you think of the poses that are available? Please leave a comment on that as well. So those are all the drawings. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like my art and you'd like to show your support, you can always donate to my Ko-fi account. The link to that is in the description below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!